Testing 1, 2, 3. Hi, check, check, check.
Started today, and I'm hoping in Mexico back to probably would have Washington D.C. You got a specific question? I can
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is a delight to be with you today. And joining with me here at the podium is our Tijuana Mayor, Juan Manuel Gastelum, County Supervisor Greg Cox, Mayor of Imperial Beach, Serge Dedina, Mayor of National City, Mayor Ron Morrison, Mayor of Mexicali, Gustavo Sanchez Vasquez, Canadian Consul General James Villeneuve, United States Consul General William Ostick, Ambassador Consulate of Mexico in San Diego, Marcela Celorio, Jerry Sanders, who's our President and CEO of the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce, Nikita Clark, Executive Director of the World Trade Center, Alejandra Mayer Iteran, Otay Mesa Chamber of Commerce, and Kurt Onold, President of Consejo Coordinator Empresarial. So thank you all for being here. And we are here today at the front door of the busiest land border crossing in the Western Hemisphere. On the first day of three-way negotiations between the United States, Mexico, and Canada, to urge leaders in Washington to support the preservation and modernization of the North American Free Trade Agreement. There has never been a more critical time for border cities to champion international trade between our three countries. Trade, open dialogue, collaboration benefit hundreds of millions of people from Canada, across the United States, and all the way down to Mexico. And here's why. Trade between Mexico and the U.S. moving through San Diego has increased threefold, totaling $60 billion each year. San Diego exports have grown to $5.5 billion under NAFTA. And trade between our three countries supports nearly 14 million jobs in the United States. And we export 900 million worth of goods to Canada, making Canada our second largest trading partner here in San Diego. So it would be an understatement to say we value our trade relationship with our neighbors in Mexico and Canada. It's vital to our economic future. Jobs depend on it. Our economies depend on it. The next generation depends on it. This is why we are all here today. And it is why we traveled to Vancouver to lay the groundwork for more trade between Canada and San Diego. And it's why that all of us are taking our message to the highest levels in Washington next month to advocate for free, fair, and open trade. Our story is a powerful one. We are fundamentally linked by an economy, common environment, and of course, a shared community. And by working together, with that emphasis on working together, we are creating jobs and economic prosperity for Americans, Canadians, and Mexicans alike. And it's our hope that federal leaders will hear our call and look at our story of collaboration as a model that works. Fair and open trade works. NAFTA is working, and we urge them to act swiftly and thoughtfully in support of this critically important agreement. Thank you. And now it's my pleasure to introduce some of our speakers, by beginning with my friend and my colleague, my neighbor, Tijuana Mayor Juan Manuel Gastelum. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Greetings to all. Mayors and representatives of the business sector on both sides of the border, Consul General of Mexico in San Diego and the Consul General of Canada in Los Angeles, media, and all of you are welcome to this mega binational region, Cali Baja. Thanks for joining us. Here we are, the San Diego-Tijuana region, one of the most stronger and united region. It has been 23 years since NAFTA was signed, and today we'll begin the renegotiation. Today we are here with a single goal of sending a message, clear, respectful, but at the same time urgent to our federal authorities on both sides of the border. which they have in their hands the great responsibility to renegotiate this day the North American Free Trade Agreement. In a joint effort of UNIT to be spokesmen of our communities, to express ourselves as what we are, a trade bloc solid and consolidated that has brought growth, development, and well-being for our people, resulting from NAFTA trade. NAFTA decided to promote trade and investment integration across North America through the creation of what was at the time the largest unified free market in the world. NAFTA was a key element in Mexico's modernization and entry to the global economy. Likewise, it was a critical tool in modernizing Mexico's relationships in North America. We went from distant neighbors to close partners. Today, NAFTA partners make up to 15% of world trade, 28% of global GDP, that is gross domestic product, and 14% of foreign direct investment inflows. Since 1994, intra-NAFTA trade exceeding just the last year $997 billion. The North American region has the potential to become the most competitive and prosperous region on the world. Therefore, Canada, Mexico, and the United States need to continue working together, overcome the common challenges and the many opportunities we have as a region. The United States, it's our main trading partner with the 80% of our exports and 50% of our imports. 2 weeks ago, we signed a resolution to encourage the United States and Mexico Congress to recognize the importance of trade between our countries as an opportunity to renegotiate, modernize, and improve our competitiveness. We wish the best and will seek the work and development of this renegotiation, which definitely must ensure prosperity and good common for all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. Next to the podium is County Supervisor Greg Cox. Supervisor?
Great. Thank you, Kevin. You know, as a county supervisor who represents the South County area and the first 14 miles of the border, I'm here to join with Mayor Faulconer, Mayor Gastelum, and all the other distinguished speakers you're going to be hearing this afternoon to emphasize the critical link that exists between NAFTA and our border communities and our border economy. Our San Ysidro port of entry is recognized as one of the busiest land border crossings in the world. And actually, additionally, when you add in the Tecate and Otay Mesa ports entry, they account for over $29.8 billion worth of goods that go in both directions each and every year. And let's not forget, these ports create jobs that are indispensable to our San Diego County region and likewise to the Tijuana region. That's why it's so critical that the renegotiation of NAFTA remove barriers to trade and commerce. Our international border is and must remain an economic engine for the entire region and also for our nation. If the administration wants to grow the economy and create new jobs, then I would suggest it must begin right here with NAFTA, because NAFTA will work for everyone. That means we must ensure that the renegotiation of NAFTA includes a focus on what both nations can do to build and improve our critical infrastructure all along the border, especially here at this gateway. And we've seen some tremendous improvements over the last couple of years just right here in San Ysidro. That means roads and it means border crossings, but should also include water and sewer infrastructure that prevents pollution and sewage from flowing into South County cities, parks, and our beaches. We can develop our economies without sacrificing our environment and public health. And we can make solid investments and improvement in infrastructure a requirement of the NAFTA renegotiations, because it is a vital building block for a thriving binational economy. Once again, I want to thank you for being here and the opportunity to say a few words. Thank you.
Imperial Mayor Serge Dedina. Mayor?
Thanks, Mayor Faulconer, and thanks, Mayor Gastelum, for the invite to be here. I'll be brief. It's more important than ever when we're talking about renegotiating NAFTA and looking at ways of growing our thriving binational economy, that we look to improve the mechanisms for protecting our environment. And that means that the worker in a factory in Mesa de Otay, when he goes to the beach in Playas de Tijuana, has a clean beach and clean air to breathe, and so do his kids. And that means sometimes an office park in Otay Mesa goes to the beach in Imperial Beach, they have clean water and clean air to breathe, and so do their kids. So we're convinced that the way to do that is to work with this team and work with the United States and Mexico to make sure those mechanisms are involved in NAFTA, to improve the protections for the environment, to do things like provide more money for things like the North American Development Bank, which for me has been a go-to agency for helping deal with issues related to water quality on the border. Lo voy a decir en español, es más importante que nunca que buscamos la forma de mejorar las protecciones del medio ambiente cuando estamos hablando de renegociando el Tratado de Libre Comercio, y trabajamos tanto como en Tijuana, tanto como en San Diego, tanto como en México, tanto como en Washington, a asegurar que las familias en San Diego, en Tijuana y sus hijos tienen acceso a agua limpia y aire limpio. Gracias.
Gracias. Thank you, Mayor. Next up is National City Mayor Ron Morrison. Ron?
Thank you very much, Mayor. And, so many things have already been said, so I'm going to keep it very brief and just say that, a lot of times when people look at the border, they see lines on a map. And that's all that you see is lines on a map. Well, this is a mega region that takes in millions of people and with communities that are closely linked with each other. And for us to thrive and continue to thrive as a mega region and to be able to overcome some of our shortcomings, because we're not meeting all of our potential to this point. But to meet that potential, what we need to be doing is building more bridges between our communities, building more bridges between our commerce, and building upon the relationships that are already here and that we need to build upon that much more. We have great relationships here. We have great opportunities. We need to take advantage of those, no longer see those lines on the maps, but see people, see communities that work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Well said. Next up, it's my pleasure to introduce Mexicali Mayor Gustavo Sanchez Vasquez.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor of San Diego, Kevin. Thank you, Juan Manuel, and the other mayors of California, the Imperial Binational City. Thank you for this possible. The TLSA or NAFTA is very important for the countries, for the three countries, Canadá, United States, and Mexico. Y por eso también yo quiero hoy hablar en español, porque es importante también es dar a entender este mensaje para México. Y no solamente por los datos económicos que hoy se han dado, no solamente por la importancia de que siga este trato comercial que tanto beneficio ha hecho a tres naciones durante prácticamente 24 años. Yo quiero referirme a la importancia del precedente que puede ser el que sigamos teniendo un trato fraternal entre países, el que sigamos teniendo la posibilidad de mutuamente reconocernos que los tres países nos necesitamos. En la parte comercial, ciertamente, pero también en otras partes más que son igual de importantes, en los temas de la seguridad, en los temas del turismo, en los temas simple y sencillamente de saber tener la posibilidad de que nuestros países y nuestros conciudadanos crezcan libremente en México, en Estados Unidos y Canadá. Estamos aquí para dar ese apoyo y para decirles a las personas que hoy en Washington empiezan a ver la renegociación de NAFTA y el TLC, que como alcaldes fronterizos estaremos muy al pendiente en una sola voz para decir que NAFTA y el TLC debe seguir para adelante. Gracias.
Next up is our Canadian Consul General, James Villeneuve. James?
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. Great seeing you again as well. We had the Mayor Faulconer up on a trade mission in Vancouver just recently, and I think it was a good example of trade and expanding trade between this area and Canada. And it really is important to be back in this. I'm coming from the furthest Canadian-U.S. border to be here on the southern border because we really do understand that this is a tripartite agreement, an agreement that's going to involve all three countries. In terms of the negotiation, our team is in Washington today. I actually spoke to people this morning who were there at the beginning of our negotiations. We've really, as a country, been preparing for this for a while now, for months. We're fortunate that we've had new trade agreements that have been signed in different parts of the world. So we've got very, very smart people that are involved with this, some of the best of our public service participating in this. And really what we want out of this is a renewed commitment to NAFTA, and actually one that provides fair trade for all three countries. Our Foreign Affairs Minister laid out objectives that we're trying to lead in the next period of time. We have a tremendous amount of business that goes on. There's over 9 million jobs in the United States relate directly to trade with Canada, and over 1.2 million of them, so 25% or so in California. So that's how important trade is to the United States and Canada. But we've also seen a surge with Mexico as well. Our exports and imports with Mexico are growing. We've recently lifted visas on Mexican nationals coming to Canada. We're getting a big surge in tourism, which is great. Allows us to come up and see our country in the summer, and we come down in the winter, that's for sure. On a regular basis, literally hundreds of thousands of Canadians coming down to enjoy your hospitality, your sun, and just your great people. And this won't be an easy negotiation. I think people are prepared that there's going to have to be give and take, but like I said, we've done this before, so we're not overly concerned that we can't get to a better place that works for everybody. Prime Minister Trudeau has been in regular contact with the President of the United States and the President of Mexico. In fact, our Prime Minister was at the National Governors meeting just last week in Rhode Island and was the keynote speaker along with Vice President Mike Pence. So they had a good discussion about trade. And as Mayor Faulconer pointed out, it's important that we engage beyond Washington, because the actual real people where jobs are created, really these types of trade agreements are throughout the United States and Mexico and Canada. We've had over 20,000 consultations on the renegotiation of NAFTA in Canada right now. So we're hearing from everybody from labor groups to businesses, both large and small, to just regular citizens. So we're prepared to go into this. We hope to end up in a better place, and we hope to end up with more trade with this region as we move forward. Merci. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. And I want to thank all of the representatives who have come out today. As you can see, this is a region that is united. These are three countries that are united. And this is our business community. This is our political leadership. Again, particularly those in our business community, the San Ysidro Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much. Your senators, our Chamber of Commerce. We're united on good quality jobs. This is what NAFTA represents. And so our voices, you've heard me say before, if we're not telling our story of success, nobody is going to tell it for us. And so that's why this is so important. That's why we look forward to next month in Washington, D.C. And that's why that we stand united again as one region moving forward together. So thank you. All of us will be available for any one-on-one.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Serge, well done.
Talk about modernizing NAFTA.
Yeah.
What does that mean specifically?
It means what can we do to improve trade between our regions? As we've seen the tremendous economic benefit, we're growing good quality jobs on both sides of the border. That's good for San Diego, that's good for Tijuana, it's good for our partners in Canada, which is our second largest trading partner in San Diego. So as we encourage that job growth, that helps our families, that helps our economy. And our message to Washington, D.C. Is very clear. Free trade works. It's working in our border region. And I'm looking forward to going to Washington, D.C. Next month with Mayor Gastelum and others to tell our story of cooperation, to tell our story of success, and to tell our stories what that has meant to our economy and job growth in San Diego.
You mentioned Washington, D.C. Someone campaigned heavily against NAFTA last year. He's now in the White House, and as we stand here in front of the border fences, how do you convince skeptics that this is good, not just for our region, but for the entire, for the three countries involved?
I think when you look at the strong support that NAFTA does have, that's bipartisan support. And as I said, I think we have an obligation here on the largest, busiest borderland crossing in North America to tell that success story, to tell about the tremendous growth that we've had in medical device manufacturing, just to name one area. The great quality jobs that we're doing on both sides of the border, as I said, that's a strength. That's a competitive advantage. That has been a huge positive for San Diegans. And as we grow those opportunities with Canada and Mexico, that's how we grow our city, and that's how we provide the services that residents expect.
One more question for me, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
If let's say we don't have NAFTA or it stops, how devastating would it be for us?
Well, I think our message is very clear. Look at ways that you can modernize NAFTA. For example, how do we use technology to help with border crossings, help with trade and commerce, have smart borders? The more we can invest in that type of infrastructure and technology that makes it easier for trade, I think the more you're going to see that job growth. And again, we're talking about good quality jobs on both sides of the border. When we were up in Vancouver just about a month ago, talked about the fact that a biotechnology company is expanding here in San Diego. again, when we look at what Canada, United States, and Mexico, what we do when we're linked up together, that is a sum of parts that is very strong and very hard to beat in the global environment. That's a story I love telling. That's a story that's working. And that's a story that we're going to tell directly to policymakers in Washington, D.C. next month.
Yes.
So